What if I told you one man's DNA is in 16 million people today? What if I told you one conqueror killed 11% of the world's population? What if I told you one leader built an empire covering a quarter of Earth's land? That man was Genghis Khan, born with nothing, abandoned as a child, rose to conquer from Korea to Hungary. He destroyed cities so thoroughly they never recovered. He also created the world's first transcontinental postal system and promoted religious tolerance. Hero or monster? Genius or destroyer? Both? This is the most complicated conqueror in history. August 1227, somewhere in northwest China, near the borders of the Mongol homeland. Genghis Khan, the Great Khan, ruler of the Mongol Empire, lord of the steppe, scourge of God the man, who has conquered more territory than any human in history, is dying. He's approximately 65 years old, ancient by medieval standards. He's been campaigning for nearly 4 decades. He unified the Mongol tribes, conquered northern China, destroyed the Khwarezmian Empire, invaded Russia and Eastern Europe. His armies have killed millions. His empire stretches from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, over 12 million square miles. According to legend, his final words are instructions for conquering the Song dynasty in southern China, the campaign that will outlive him. Even on his deathbed, he's planning conquests. When he dies, his body is returned to Mongolia and buried in an unmarked grave, its location kept secret. Soldiers escort the funeral procession, killing anyone who sees it pass, ensuring the grave site remains hidden. To this day, despite centuries of searching, no one knows where Genghis Khan is buried, but his impact on history is unmistakable. At its height, the Mongol Empire encompassed 24% of the Earth's land area and ruled over 100 million people, nearly a third of the world's population at the time. Genghis Khan didn't just conquer, he transformed. He created the first transcontinental postal system. He established religious tolerance. He promoted merit over aristocratic birth. He connected the Silk Road, enabling unprecedented trade between East and West. He destroyed old powers and created new ones. He also killed on a scale that wouldn't be matched until the 20th century. Entire cities were annihilated. Populations were massacred. Terror was a weapon as effective as arrows. Who was this man? How did an abandoned orphan become the most powerful conqueror in history? What made the Mongol military machine so devastatingly effective? And what is his true legacy, destroyer or unifier, barbarian or visionary? This is the story of Genghis Khan, from Temujin, the outcast, to the Khan of Khans, from the Mongolian steppes to the gates of Europe, from nothing to everything. Around 1162, the exact date is uncertain, a boy was born in the Mongolian steppes, near the unknown river. His name is Temujin, meaning iron or blacksmith. According to legend, he's born clutching a blood clot in his fist, an omen that he'll become a great warrior. His father, Yasuge, is a minor chieftain of the Borjigin clan. His mother, Holun, was kidnapped by Yasuge from another tribe. Common practice on the steppes. This is not a civilization of cities and farms. It's a harsh world of nomadic tribes, where survival depends on horses, herds, and constant mobility. The Mongolian steppes are unforgiving, brutal winters, scorching summers, scarce resources. Life expectancy is short. Strength and cunning determine survival. Tribes fight constantly over grazing lands, horses, and honor. Alliances shift. Blood feuds last generations. When Temujin is 9 years old, his father arranges his betrothal to Bert, a girl from another tribe. On the journey home, Yasuge is poisoned by Tatar tribesmen enemies who remember old grievances. Yasuge's death is catastrophic for his family. Without a strong leader, their clan abandons them, considering them too weak to support. Holun, now a widow with several young children, is left to survive alone in the wilderness. They live on the edge of starvation, gathering roots, hunting small game, fishing. It's desperate poverty. But Holen is fierce and determined. She keeps her children alive, teaching them resilience and unity. Young Temujin learns hard lessons. The weak are abandoned. Loyalty is fragile. Power is everything. Only the strong survive. Around age 14, Temujin kills his half-brother Bektar during a dispute over food, possibly a stolen bird or fish. It's a shocking act, but it establishes Temujin's dominance within his family. His mother is horrified, but the deed is done. Shortly after, Temujin is captured by the Tae-Shud clan, who resent his family. They lock him in a wooden kanga, portable stock around his neck intending to enslave him. But Temujin escapes during a celebration, aided by a sympathetic guard. He hides in a river until his captors give up searching. This escape becomes legendary evidence of his cunning and determination. But it also teaches him about loyalty. The man who helped him, though risking death, acted from conscience. Temujin will remember this. As a teenager, Temujin begins rebuilding power. He seeks out Togrul, his father's Anda, sworn brother, who leads the powerful Carrot tribe. Togrul agrees to support Temujin partly from old loyalty, partly because this ambitious young man might be useful. Temujin also reunites with Jamuka, his childhood friend, and they swear friendship, becoming blood brothers. For a time, their families travel together, raiding and building strength. Around 1178, Temujin married Bert, fulfilling his father's arrangement. Her family gives him a valuable black sable coat as dowry. Temujin immediately gives the coat to Togrul, cementing their alliance with a generous gift. This generosity is strategic. Temujin is building a network of loyalty through gift-giving, respect, and shared interest. He's learning the steppes political game, but disaster strikes. The Merkits, seeking revenge for Yesagai's abduction of Holan years earlier, raid Temujin's camp and kidnap Bert. It's the steppes' brutal justice. Old grievances never die. Temujin, with Togrul and Jamuka's help, assembles an army and attacks the Merkits. They rescue Bert, but she's been held for months. When she returns, she's pregnant. Her son, Joki, is born, and there's always doubt about his paternity. This doubt will haunt Joki and create succession problems later. The successful rescue establishes Temujin's reputation. He's decisive, capable of rallying support, and willing to fight for his people. Followers begin joining him. Over the next few years, Temujin's power grows. He attracts followers through several strategies. Meritocracy. Unlike traditional Mongol society, where birth determines status, Temujin promotes based on ability and loyalty. A commoner can rise to high rank through courage and competence. Generosity. He shares plunder generously. Warriors who follow him become wealthy. Discipline. His forces are organized, trained, and controlled, unlike many tribal war bands that are chaotic mobs. Vision. He offers something beyond mere survival, the possibility of uniting the Mongol tribes, ending constant warfare, creating something greater. But success breeds rivalry. Jamuka, his blood brother, becomes jealous. Their alliance fractures. In 1190, they met in battle at Dalan Balshut. Jamuka wins and commits atrocities, boiling captured enemy leaders alive in 70 cauldrons. These atrocities backfire. Many of Jamuka's followers are horrified and defect to Temujin, who treats captured enemies with more honor. Temujin loses the battle, but wins the political game. The early 1200s see Temujin fighting a series of campaigns to unite the Mongol tribes. It's brutal, relentless warfare, eliminating rivals, absorbing their followers, building an unstoppable coalition. He defeats the Tatars, the tribe that poisoned his father. But rather than simply killing them, Temujin massacres systematically. He orders all Tatars taller than a wagon's axle killed, meaning all adult males. Women and children are absorbed into Mongol tribes. It's genocide, coldly calculated to eliminate future revenge. The Tatar tribe ceases to exist. Ironically, Tatar will later become a name Europeans use for the Mongols themselves. Temujin then turns on the Carats, led by Togrul, his former patron. Togrul's son Sengdam fears Temujin's growing power and convinces his father to attack. But Temujin learns of the plot, strikes first, and destroys the Karat Confederation. Togrul is killed fleeing. Temujin absorbs his followers, incorporating Karat warriors and their superior organization into his own forces. Then comes the final confrontation with Jamuka, his former blood brother. By 1204, Jamuka led a coalition of tribes opposing Temujin's dominance. But Temujin's forces are superior, better organized, better led, more unified. Jamuka is betrayed by his own followers, who hand him over to Temujin, hoping for reward. Instead, Temujin executes the traitors. Men who betray their own lord cannot be trusted, and offers Jamuka reconciliation. Jamuka refuses. He asks for death, without spilling blood, an honorable execution. Temujin has him killed by breaking his back, fulfilling the letter of the request, while ending his most persistent rival. By 1206, Temujin had united virtually all Mongol tribes under his rule, something never accomplished before. The fractious warring tribes are now one people, one army, one purpose. In spring 1206, a Kurultaya gathering of Mongol chiefs was held near the Anan River. Temujin is proclaimed Genghis Khan, usually translated as universal ruler or oceanic ruler, though the exact meaning is debated. He's approximately 44 years old. Genghis Khan doesn't just claim a title, he transforms Mongol society, military organization. He organizes the army in decimal units, squads of 10, arban, companies of 100, chagan, regiments of 1,000, mingen, and divisions of 10,000, tumen. This creates clear command structure and coordination. Promotion by merit. Anyone can rise through ranks based on ability. Birth and tribal affiliation become less important than competence and loyalty to the Khan, the Keshid. He creates an elent, bodyguard of 10,000 warriors drawn from all tribes. They're intensely loyal to Genghis personally, creating a power base independent of tribal politics. Written law. He establishes the Yasa, a written law code covering military discipline, civil behavior, and religious tolerance. For a nomadic society, having written laws is revolutionary. Religious tolerance. Unlike many conquerors, Genghis exempts religious leaders and institutions from taxes and military service. He's personally shamanist, but respects all religions, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever. This tolerance will become a Mongol hallmark, meritocratic redistribution. He breaks up the old tribal aristocracy, redistributing their followers to loyal commanders regardless of birth. This destroys the old tribal system that had kept Mongols divided. These reforms create a unified, disciplined, motivated army, perhaps 100,000 warriors initially, but expandable because organization, not just numbers, provides strength. The Mongols now have something unprecedented: unity, organization, discipline, and a leader of genius who's already proven he can defeat any tribal coalition. But tribal warfare is one thing. Now Genghis Khan turns towards civilized empires, wealthy, populous, protected by walls and armies that have defended them for centuries. The world is about to discover what unified Mongol power means. To Genghis Khan's south lies China, or rather, China. The Middle Kingdom is divided. The Jin dynasty controls the north, the Song dynasty the south, and the Xi kingdom controls the northwest. These are ancient civilizations with millions of people, sophisticated governments, massive armies, and fortified cities. The Chinese consider the Mongols barbarians, uncivilized nomads, useful only as occasional mercenaries or trading partners. They're about to learn differently. Genghis began with Xi in 1205, a smaller kingdom that controlled important Silk Road trade routes. He raids, tests his forces against fortifications, and learns siege warfare. The Mongols are steppe warriors, unmatched in nobility and archery on open ground. But cities are different. Walls stop cavalry. Defenders can wait out raiders. Traditional. Nomad tactics don't work. So Genghis adapts. He captures Chinese engineers who know siege warfare. He studies fortification vulnerabilities. He develops siege engines, catapults, trebuchets, siege towers. He learns to divert rivers to undermine walls or flood cities. Most importantly, he uses terror. When a city resists, the consequences are catastrophic. Populations are massacred, buildings burned, survivors enslaved. Word spreads, surrender quickly and you'll be treated reasonably. Resist and you'll be annihilated. It's psychological warfare on a massive scale. Many cities surrender without fighting. Once they hear about Mongol atrocities elsewhere. In 1211, Genghis invaded the Jin dynasty northern China, including Beijing. The Jin have millions of soldiers. Their cities are protected by massive walls. Their civilization is over 1,000 years old. None of it matters. The Mongol strategy is devastating. Fast-moving cavalry raids disrupt Jin communications and supply lines. Sieges, once the Mongols master them, systematically reduce cities. Most importantly, Genghis is ruthless, destroying cities that resist, incorporating Jin defectors, including Khitan and Chinese generals who provide crucial knowledge, and exploiting Jin political divisions. Jin fought hard. The war lasted over 20 years. But Mongol persistence, superior mobility, and willingness to accept enormous casualties gradually overwhelmed them. By 1215, Beijing was captured and destroyed. The Jin capital moved south. The Jin dynasty is crippled, though it won't finally fall. Until 1234, after Genghis' death, Chinese resistance teaches the Mongols crucial lessons. Adopt enemy technology. They capture siege engineers, gunpowder weapons, and administrative experts. They use them, divide and conquer. The Mongols exploit ethnic tensions, using Khitans against Jurchens, Chinese defectors against loyalists. Psychological warfare, terror, is effective. Massacring one city makes 10 others surrender. Patience. Conquering civilizations takes decades, not seasons. Genghis is willing to fight long wars. Administration. You can't rule cities like you rule tribes. Genghis begins developing administrative systems using Chinese models. These lessons will make the Mongols unstoppable. They're no longer just nomadic raiders. They're becoming a world-conquering military machine. But while fighting China, Genghis turns his attention west toward an even more dramatic conquest. In 1218, Genghis sent a trade caravan to the Khwarezmian Empire, a Muslim state controlling Central Asia and parts of Persia. The governor of the border city of Otrar, believing the caravan are spies, executes the merchants and confiscates their goods. Genghis sends ambassadors demanding the governor's extradition for punishment. The Khwarezmian Shah, the emperor, refuses and kills the ambassadors, shaving their beards. A grave insult, and beheading one. Big mistake. Enormous mistake. Possibly the most consequential mistake in medieval history. Genghis Khan prepares for war. Genghis Khan leads perhaps 100,000 to 150,000 warriors west toward the Khwarezmian Empire. The Shah commands armies estimated at 400,000 men and controls wealthy cities like Samarkand, Bukhara, and Urgench. On paper, the Mongols are outnumbered and invading hostile territory far from home. The Khwarezmian Empire should win easily. Instead, it's annihilated in less than 2 years won, history's most devastating conquests. What happens? How do the Mongols achieve such complete victory? Superior strategy. The Shah makes a fatal error. He divides his forces among his cities rather than concentrating them. Genghis concentrates his forces, attacking cities one by one with overwhelming local superiority, speed, and mobility. Mongol armies move faster than anyone expects, appearing suddenly. Attacking before defenders can react or receive reinforcements. Intelligence. The Mongols use extensive spy networks. They know city defenses, political situations, even individual commanders' capabilities. They attack where enemies are weakest. Terror. The Mongols perfect psychological warfare. Cities that surrender quickly are treated relatively well, local leaders retained, trade restored, taxes reasonable. Cities that resist are destroyed utterly. Tactical brilliance. Feigned retreats lure enemies into ambushes. Flanking maneuvers surround defenders. Diverse tactics from steppe warfare to siege warfare confuse enemies. Let's look at specific campaigns. Bukhara, 1220. The Mongols arrive unexpectedly. The garrison tries to break out and is annihilated. The city surrenders. Genghis enters the mosque and announces, "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." Whether he actually said this is uncertain, but it captures the terror he inspires. Bukhara's fortress is destroyed. The population is enslaved or conscripted into Mongol armies for future sieges. The city burns. Samarkand, 1220. One of Central Asia's greatest cities, with strong walls and a large garrison. The Mongols surround it with forces including conscripted soldiers from previously conquered cities, using enemy populations as cannon fodder. After a brief siege, the garrison attempts a breakout. They're slaughtered. The city surrenders. Most inhabitants are evacuated, many executed, artisans and craftsmen taken to Mongolia. The city survives, but is devastated. Urgench, 1220 to 1221. The capital of Khwarezm, a wealthy trade city. The siege lasts 5 months, one of the longest Mongol sieges. Fighting is house to house, brutal and destructive. When the city finally falls, the Mongols systematically slaughter. The population estimates range from tens of thousands to over 1 million, though lower figures are more realistic. Urgench is so thoroughly destroyed that it's abandoned, never fully recovering. Meanwhile, the Khwarezmian Shah flees. His armies are scattered, his cities falling one by one. Genghis sends 2 of his best generals, Jib and Sabotai, with 20,000 men to pursue him. The Shah flees across Persia, the Mongols chasing. He finally dies on an island in the Caspian Sea in 1220, broken and defeated. But Jibi and Sabotai don't stop. They continue west raiding Persia, invading the Caucasus, emerging onto the Russian steppes. In 1223, at the Battle of Kalka River, they encountered a combined army of Russian princes and their Cuman allies, perhaps 80,000 men. The Mongols, with maybe 20,000, destroy them using classic tactics: feigned retreat, ambush, encirclement. Russian princes are captured and executed, crushed under wooden platforms on which the Mongols feast, celebrating victory while their enemies suffocate beneath them. This reconnaissance in force covers thousands of miles, defeats multiple armies, and gathers intelligence about Europe. Then Jib and Sabotai calmly ride back to Mongolia, having completed one of history's most extraordinary military expeditions. The Khwarezmian campaign's destruction is staggering. Cities are annihilated, populations massacred, infrastructure destroyed. Irrigation systems wrecked. Some regions take centuries to recover. Population estimates are impossible, but millions probably died. A Persian historian Juvaini, writing decades later, describes cities where not even cats and dogs survived. Nishaper supposedly has every inhabitant killed 1.7 million, according to sources, though that number is impossible. Even allowing for exaggeration, the death toll is catastrophic. Why such destruction? Several reasons. Revenge. The Shah killed Genghis ambassadors, an unforgivable insult. Terror. Devastating the Khwarezmian Empire sends a message to all potential enemies. Do not cross the Mongols. Military efficiency. Dead populations don't rebel. Destroyed cities don't. Need GARRISONING. Economic plunder. Artisans are taken to Mongolia. Wealth is confiscated. The Mongol economy benefits from conquest. The Khwarezmian Empire ceases to exist. It's one of history's most complete destruction of a major state. What made the Mongol military so devastatingly effective? How did nomadic horsemen defeat settled civilizations with larger populations? More resources and advanced technology? Let's examine the Mongol military system in detail. 1. The Mongol warrior. Every Mongol male is trained from childhood as a warrior. They learn to ride before they walk. They practice archery constantly. They're taught endurance, surviving on minimal food and water, riding for days without rest. Mongol horses are small, tough, and incredibly resilient. A Mongol warrior typically has multiple horses, 3 to 5 rotating between them, to maintain speed over long distances. This mobility is unmatched. Mongol armies can cover 60 to 100 miles per day when needed. European armies manage maybe 15 to 20 miles. Each warrior carries a composite bow made of horn, sinew, and wood, capable of penetrating armor at 200 yards. They can shoot accurately from horseback at full gallop. They carry 2 bows, one for long range, one for short, plus 60 arrows. They also carry swords, lances, and sometimes lassos. Their armor is lamellar small metal plates laced together, providing protection while allowing flexibility. 2. Organization and discipline. The decimal system: squads of 10, companies of 100, regiments of 1,000, divisions of 10,000 creates a clear command structure. Orders flow efficiently from Khan to individual warriors. Discipline is absolute. Punishment for cowardice or disobedience is death, not just for the individual, but for his entire squad of 10. This creates intense peer pressure and mutual accountability. Commanders lead from the front. Genghis himself fights in battles, sharing danger. This inspires incredible loyalty. Training emphasizes coordination. Units practice complex maneuvers, feigned retreats, pincer movements, surrounding tactics. They hunt in winter using military formations, training while feeding themselves. 3. Tactics. The Mongols perfect several devastating tactics. The feigned retreat. Mongol cavalry attacks, shoots arrows, then flees. Enemies pursue, breaking formation. The Mongols wheel around, outflank, and surround the disordered pursuers. It works repeatedly. Enemies can't resist chasing what seems like a beaten foe. The crescent formation. Mongols attack in a crescent shape, enveloping enemy flanks while concentrating force at the center. Once surrounded, enemies are massacred. Archery. Dominance. Mongol composite bows outrange European and Chinese bows. Mongols can shoot while retreating, inflicting casualties while staying beyond enemy range. Siege warfare. Initially weak at sieges, Mongols quickly adapt, capturing engineers, learning techniques, building siege engines. Eventually, they become excellent at siege warfare, combining traditional Mongol mobility with Chinese and Muslim siege technology. Psychological warfare. Terror is a weapon. Massacring one city makes 10 others surrender. Genghis deliberately creates a reputation for mercilessness to encourage surrender. 4. Intelligence and analytic logistics. The Mongols excel at intelligence gathering. They use spies extensively. Merchants, travelers, even religious pilgrims report on enemy strengths, defenses, political situations. Before attacking, they know terrain, enemy numbers, fortification details, even individual commanders' capabilities and weaknesses. Logistically, they're self-sufficient. Each warrior carries dried meat and milk products. Armies live off the land, foraging and hunting. They're not tied to supply lines like European or Chinese armies. The YAM system, a network of relay stations, allows rapid communication across the empire. Messages can travel hundreds of miles per day using relay riders, faster than any other communication system of the era. 5. Adaptability. Perhaps the Mongols' greatest strength is adaptability. They learn from enemies, adopt effective technologies, and incorporate captured experts. They start as steppe cavalry. They learn siege warfare from the Chinese. They adopt Middle Eastern administrative practices. They use Russian engineers, Persian scholars, Chinese generals, anyone with useful skills. They fight in deserts, mountains, forests, and swamps terrain, completely different from their native steppes. They adjust tactics to each environment. This pragmatism, taking whatever works, regardless of source, gives them enormous advantages over more rigid military systems. 6. Brutal effectiveness. The Mongols don't romanticize warfare. They fight to win, period. If massacring a population is militarily advantageous, they do it. If incorporating enemies is advantageous, they do that. They offer clear terms. Surrender, and you'll be treated fairly. Resist, and you'll be destroyed. Most enemies eventually choose surrender, making Mongol conquests easier over time. This combination: mobility, archery, organization, discipline, adaptability, psychological warfare, and utter ruthlessness creates the most effective military force of the medieval era. No army can stand against them for long. After the Khwarezmian campaign, Genghis returns east. He's now in his 60s, old by medieval standards, particularly for someone who's spent his life in warfare. But he's not finished. Shah, the kingdom that he first attacked decades earlier, has proven troublesome. They've refused to provide troops for the Khwarezmian campaign. They're unreliable vassals. In 1226, at age 64, Genghis led what was his final campaign, conquering Shah definitively. The campaign is brutal. Cities are systematically destroyed. When the Shu emperor finally surrendered in 1227, Genghis ordered him executed along with his family. The Shah state ceases to exist, its people absorbed or exterminated. During this campaign, Genghis dies. The exact circumstances are debated. Some sources say he fell from his horse during hunting and never recovered from internal injuries. Others claim he died from illness, possibly typhus, possibly complications from old wounds. Persian sources claim he was killed by a Tangut princess who smuggled a weapon and assassinated him on their wedding night. Chinese sources suggest he died from an arrow wound sustained during the siege of Xia. We'll probably never know the truth. What matters is, in August 1227, Genghis Khan died, probably in his tent, surrounded by his sons and generals. His death is kept secret for months. The funeral procession returns to Mongolia, killing anyone who encounters it, ensuring the burial. Site remains unknown. According to legend, 2,000 people are executed to preserve the secret. He's buried somewhere in the Khenti Mountains, near where he was born, completing the circle. Despite extensive searches using modern technology, the grave has never been found. Before dying, Genghis makes provisions for succession. His empire is divided among his 4 sons from birth. Joki receives western territories, though he dies. shortly after Genghis, so his sons inherit instead. This becomes the Golden Horde, controlling Russia. Chagatai receives Central Asia, modern Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan. This became the Chagatai Khanate. Gede is designated as Great Khan, ruler of the overall empire. He's competent and diplomatic, and his selection avoids the rivalry between Jochi and Chagatai. Tolui receives the Mongol homeland and largest army, though his territories are smallest. He has greatest military strength. His sons will eventually control China and Persia. This division ensures Mongol expansion continues. Gidai will conquer Russia and invade Eastern Europe. His nephew Manji will complete the conquest of China. His other nephew Hulegu will destroy the Abbasid Caliphate and conquer the Middle East. At its maximum extent around 1279. The Mongol Empire covers 12 to 14 million square miles, 24% of Earth's land area. It's the largest contiguous land empire. In history, Genghis Khan personally conquered perhaps half of it. His descendants, following his strategies and benefiting from his organizational genius, conquer the rest, but the empire is too large to remain unified. By 1300, it's effectively 4 separate khanates, nominally acknowledging a great Khan but functionally independent. Still, for nearly a century, Mongol power dominated Eurasia from Korea to Poland, from Siberia to Iraq. One man's vision, amplified by his descendants, reshapes the world. So what is Genghis Khan's legacy? It's complicated, controversial, and profound. The destruction. The Mongol conquests killed tens of millions. Exact numbers are impossible, but estimates suggest China, 30 to 40 million dead over decades of warfare. Central Asia and Persia, 10 to 15 million dead. Russia and Eastern Europe, 1 to 2 million dead total. 40 to 50 million people, roughly 11% of the world's population. Entire cities were annihilated. Irrigation systems destroyed, cultures erased. Some regions took centuries to recover population levels. Genghis himself ordered mass executions, used terror deliberately, and showed no mercy to resistance. By any measure, he was responsible for one of history's greatest death tolls. The unification. But there's another perspective. Before Genghis, the Silk Road was fragmented, dangerous, unreliable. After him, it became safer than ever, enabling unprecedented trade between East and West. The Pax Mongolica-Mongol peace lasted roughly a century. During this period, trade flourished. Goods moved from China to Europe more freely than ever before. Silk, spices, gunpowder, printing technology, paper, mathematics all spread along Mongol-controlled routes. Cultural exchange increased. Ideas, religions, art styles, and technologies mixed. Persian astronomers worked in Chinese courts. Chinese doctors practiced in Persia. European travelers like Marco Polo reached China. Religious tolerance prevailed. The Mongol Empire protected Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and others equally. In an age of religious warfare, this tolerance was extraordinary. Administrative innovation. The Mongols created the world's first transcontinental postal system. They established standardized weights and measures across their empire. They promoted merit over birth. The genetic legacy. A 2003 genetic study found that roughly 16 million men, 0.5% of the world's male population, carry a Y chromosome lineage traced to Mongolia around 1,000 years ago, probably from Genghis Khan and his close relatives. This makes Genghis Khan possibly the most reproductively successful human in history. His descendants ruled for generations, had multiple wives, and their descendants did likewise, creating an enormous genetic impact. The historical impact. Genghis Khan fundamentally altered history. He destroyed the continued 854 Pan-Khwarezmian Empire. allowing the Ottoman Turks to rise. He devastated the Abbasid Caliphate through his grandson Hulagu, ending the Islamic Golden Age. He weakened China for centuries. Though his grandson Kublai ultimately unified it under Mongol rule, he opened Russia to Asian influence, while simultaneously isolating it from European development, shaping Russian history for centuries. He facilitated the spread of gunpowder to the West, changing warfare forever. He may have inadvertently spread the Black Death. The plague possibly traveled along Mongol trade routes, killing a third of Europe's population. Modern perspectives. In Mongolia today, Genghis Khan is a national hero. Symbols of him appear everywhere. He represents strength, unity, and independence. His brutal conquests are downplayed. His unification of Mongolia and creation of an empire are celebrated. In conquered regions, Russia, Persia, Iraq, he's remembered. More darkly, Persian historians called him a curse sent by God. Russian chronicles describe Mongol invasions as apocalyptic. Western historians debate his significance. Some emphasize destruction and death. Others argue he connected the world, enabling exchange. That led to the Renaissance and global trade. The truth is probably both. He was a brilliant military and political leader who unified Mongolia and built an empire. He was also responsible for massive destruction and death. The bottom line was Genghis Khan the greatest conqueror? By territory, yes, no one conquered more land. By impact, arguably yes, he reshaped Eurasia. By tactics, he was brilliant, but had advantages: Mongol military culture, mobility, and enemies often divided or weak. By legacy, mixed, he destroyed much but also connected civilizations in unprecedented ways. He rose from nothing and abandoned, orphaned, to rule the largest land empire in history. He transformed warfare, enabling cavalry armies to defeat settled civilizations. He promoted meritocracy and religious tolerance while practicing genocide and terror. He was neither wholly evil nor wholly good. He was extraordinary in both achievement and destruction. Temujin, the abandoned boy in the Mongolian wilderness, became Genghis Khan, ruler of the world. He conquered more territory than anyone in history. He killed tens of millions. He connected East and West. He promoted merit over birth. He practiced religious tolerance. He ordered mass executions. He was a military genius, a political visionary, and one of history's most destructive forces all. At once, his empire lasted barely a century in unified form, but his impact echoes through centuries. The modern world, our connected, global civilization, owes something to the Mongol conquests that first linked Asia and Europe through sustained contact. Genghis Khan wanted to conquer the world. He came closer than anyone before or since. And in doing so, he changed it forever. He remains what he always was: impossible to categorize, impossible to ignore, impossible to forget. The shepherd boy who conquered the world. The destroyer who unified civilizations. The barbarian who promoted tolerance. The illiterate nomad who created a lasting empire. Genghis Khan. Contradictory, extraordinary, terrifying, fascinating, one of history's most significant figures. For better and worse, 800 years after his death, we still grapple with his legacy. And somewhere in the Mongolian mountains, in an unmarked grave that has never been found, lies the man who changed the world.